So this is the second video, 1.6b as in boy, in elementary algebra, multiplication of real numbers. And we're jumping down to number 23 in the examples. And we have negative 2 times a plus 3. So what we're doing again is distributing. We're going to distribute that negative 2, and we're going to distribute that negative 2 on the 3 and get negative 6. Notice I brought my plus sign down. So now I've got negative 2a, and in your final answer, when you're all done, we're going to just switch that to a minus 6. So plus and negative is the same as just a minus 6, and this is just a better way of writing it as a final answer. This is not incorrect, it's just not as pretty. Alright, let's jump to problem 25. Negative 1/3 times 2x minus 6. Multiply those two. So we'll put that over 1. Multiply our top numbers, multiply our bottom numbers, and it's going to be a negative. A negative times a negative is a positive 6 over 3. So we have, whoops, there's an x here. Negative 2/3 x plus 6 over 3 is 2. And we're done with that one. Alright, so let's jump up to example number 27. It says find the value of negative 2/3 x minus 4 when x equals 0. So if we put, every time we see an x, we put a 0 in its place. Now notice what I do. I always make a parenthesis, put a 0 in its place. Any number times 0 is 0. And 0 minus 4 is the same as 0 plus negative 4. What's the difference between 0 and 4? 4. What's the biggest number? Negative, and you're done. Let's look at the B portion of this. We have, again, negative 2/3 x minus 4. And now we're going to say that x equals 3. So again, we're going to put in parentheses our 3. And we're going to multiply those. So we're going to put that over 1, negative 6 over 3 minus 4. Negative 6 over 3 is negative 2 minus 4, and then again we do that. And signs are the same, so we add those, and we put our sign on, and we're complete with that. Alright, so let's put a fraction up here. So let's say that, like in C, it says x equals negative 9/2. So negative 2/3, and again, put it in parentheses, always put it in parentheses. Multiply my top numbers together, positive 18. Bottom numbers, 6 minus 4. 18 over 6 is 3 minus 4, or 3 plus negative 4. Then you can take the difference between the two and put the sign of the largest one on, and you're done. Okay, a key thing that I need to remind you of. If we have 2/3, and we have the negative there, if we have negative 2 over 3, or if we have 2 over negative 3, these are all the same thing. It does not matter where you put the negative. Notice when I was working on this one over here, I had the negative on top here and on top here. Doesn't matter. I could have put one on top and one on bottom. It would not change the value of the problem at all. So feel free to put the negative signs up on the top or the bottom. Doesn't really matter. The only reason I put them both on top is because two negatives give me a positive. If I would have put the one on the top and one on the bottom, then I'd get a negative number up here and a negative number down here, and a negative over a negative is still a positive, but it's just easy to get rid of it that way. So hope that isn't confusing. Alright, so let's look at example 28. They give us one with two variables. They give us 5x minus 4y. And they tell me that x equals 4 and y equals 0 as one of my options. So again, parentheses, please. 5 times 4 is 20. 4 times 0 is 0, not 4. And you end up with 20 for your answer. What if, instead of putting in 4 and 0, the next option was we put in 0 and negative 8. So we get 5 times 0 minus 4 times negative 8. 5 times 0 is 0. Minus 4 times negative 8 is negative 32. Ooh, I have two negatives. There we go. So I get 32 for an answer. So what if I did one like C, where it gave us a number other than 0 for both of those? It gave us negative 2 and it gave us 3. So we have 5 times negative 2 minus 4 times 3. So those two together is negative 10. Those two together is 12. Make that a plus and a minus like that. Signs are the same, so I add them and put the sign on there, and I'm done. This last section of 1.6b as in boy is called geometric sequences, and a geometric sequence is a list of numbers such that the following number is based on the previous number. For example, 5, 10, 20, etc. If I want to know how I got from 5 to 10, I multiplied 5 by 2 and got 10. Then and how do I get 20? Multiplied 10 by 2. How do we get the next number? Multiply this by 2. So this one's going to be 40. How do I get the next number? This one by 2. So that's called a geometric sequence. There's always a number that you multiply by in order to get the next one. So if I have something like 3, negative 15, 75, and I want to find out the next number, I first of all look at the 3 and said, how do I get from 3 to a negative 15? Well, 3 times negative 5 gives me negative 15. Well, what is negative 15 times negative 5? Well, a negative times a negative, these two, is a positive 75. Then I multiply this one times negative 5, and that gives me the next number in my sequence, which is a positive times a negative would be a negative, and 75 times 5 is 375. If I had one like example C in example 29, I've got 1/8, 1/4, 1/2. How in the world do I get from 1/8 to 1/4? Well, if I multiply my 1/8 by 2, I get 2 over 8, which is 1/4. So if I multiply it by 2, I get 1/4. What happens if I multiply 1/4 times 2? I get 2 over 4. I get 1/2. So that's what I do, is I multiply by 2. So if I multiply 1/2 by 2, I get 1. If I multiply 1 by 2, I get 2. If I multiply 2 by 2, I get 4. So it just keeps going from there. So that is lesson 1.6.